investment and the pros and the cons and the risk and the rewards involved in for us to be able to make the right decision when it comes to property investment. Peter, you're welcome to GN Studios.
Good evening.
Yeah,
Good evening. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're welcome again to GN Studios.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Peter Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, you can say a bit about yourself, though.
Okay. I've been involved in the property business and the finance business combined for over 25 years. First started off doing lettings, dealing with mortgages. Now, currently, what I'm involved in, I'm involved on the property side where I source investment properties for developers, investors, and landlords in that order. So we act basically as property agents, but we are on the buyer's side. So we look for deals for clients who are purchasing or buying, and that's who our allegiance is to. So for our buyers, we aim to get them the cheapest price. Whereas if you're an estate agent, your allegiance is to the seller or the vendor, where you try to achieve the highest price. And so when it comes to getting paid, we get paid by the purchasers or the buyers, and by nobody else.
All right. I think that's a good intro, and apparently, I mean, along the line, we will delve more into the intrigues and the myths, the myths and the intricacies of the property management industry, the property industry. Now, I mean, obviously, I know that from the little I know is that property is a bit of a capital intensive, in venture. Property investment can be done in various ways. You might decide to buy a home or commercial property directly or put money into a property investment. Now, can you explain a bit into, property investment and commercial, when we mean commercial property directly or put money into property investment?
Right. Okay. Property can be divided into two types. First is residential, which is basically where people live. And commercial is things such as offices, warehouses, or business places where people do business.
Like
and
office
work
spaces,
from.
office
Yes.
spaces and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to people wanting to invest in property on the residential side, there can be a number of avenues. One of them could be the avenue of you're looking for a home to buy to live in yourself, or you could be looking to invest in a property that you're going to rent out or make money from.
Okay.
Yeah?
I think that is the buy to let. Probably
That's-
we'll talk
that's-
about that.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah.
About that later. Now, but commercial properties offer highest cash flow in real estate, offering exceptionally high yields compared to residential property. How true is that?
That is quite true, but they are actually treated
In terms of the
Yeah.
cash flow, right?
Yeah, in terms of the cash flow, yes. Commercial properties cash flow a lot higher than residential properties.
Which of these properties attracts the highest taxes, though?
it depends how you want to set things up. Yeah. But if we go back to basics, right, for the person that's looking to get into property from the beginning, it could be by way of, right, they have a sum of money.
Now, let's look at that. Like this.
Yeah.
Let's say you're a consultant. I come to see you.
Yeah.
I want to start a proper, I want to start a property investment, business.
Yeah.
Just talk me through the A, B, and C.
Okay. Right. First of all, you want to get into property. The easiest part to get into is what do you want to buy, and what do you want to be the outcome, right? So you may want to buy a property that is, say, run down.
What does that mean? To be
Run down, it means it's in poor condition, needs a lot of work before you can realise.
You mean renovation or refurbishment?
Yeah, renovation, refurbishment.
Is renovation the same as refurbishment, though?
Not necessarily, but let me explain. Right, refurbishment of a property will mean that you fix it up, you modernise it, and you add value. Yeah, that's what a refurb is, right? When it comes to more extensive works, you may have to completely knock down, rebuild, spend a lot of money, get different.
That's with the renovation.
That's with the.
So that means that renovation involves more than refurbishment. Is that what you're saying?
It can involve a lot more than refurbishment.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot more.
So I know that when you're looking at properties, postcodes attract different types of properties with different price, list and things like that. Can you explain a bit of that?
Okay, right. Postcodes. Let's say the London area.
And why is that so?
Right. Okay. Let me explain. Right. The London area could be divided up into zones. Yeah. You have zone 1, 2, right out to zone 6. Yeah. Zone 1 tends to be what they call prime central residential London. Yeah.
Central residential London.
That's
okay.
where you find the highest value properties in zone 1.
Is that the Strand? Is that the area of the Strand?
No, that would be anywhere that's got like a 1 postcode. Yeah. So that's a SW1, which is like Belgravia.
Oh.
Yeah. You got W1, which is Mayfair. Yeah. You got NW1, which is, say, Marylebone. Yeah. And Harley Street.
That's very high. Very high.
But let me just explain the geography.
Right. Geography
of London.
London.
Right. So those are the places where you're going to find the most valuable residential properties and commercial properties as well. Yeah. So then you go out to zone 2, which is, say, if we look at, say, South London, right? Zone 2 can be anywhere from, say, Brixton, Vauxhall,
Kennington,
Kennington, those places just
Elephant
off,
and Castle,
Elephant and Castle, those places that are just off zone 1.
Okay.
Yeah, those were traditionally what you would call zones of transition, where in the time gone by in London, where you'd have workers would come in, they'd work in those areas because there used to be like a lot of factories, but then they would move out, and those places, zone 2 places, were always subject to change. That's why they call them zones of transition.
Okay.
Because it's always changing. But now what you tend to find is these are places which are quite well sought after. So the prices are going to be still quite high, but not as high as Zone 2.
So can you give, let's say, maybe a price range of, let's say, it's Zone 2 or something like that?
All right, Zone 2. All right, let's say Brixton. Brixton could have a one-bedroom flat ranging from in a okay state, local authority 375. Yeah, and then you could get 4 or 5 bedroom houses which will go for over $1 million.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the sort of price range.
All right.
You get.
So
And it also depend on the type of housing stock, because you've got local authority properties, you've got early, mid, and late Victorian properties in that sort of area.
These Victorian, we have the Edwardian and Victorian.
That came later.
Yeah.
That came later.
Are they part of the heritage, heritage buildings or
No,
the heritage
no,
buildings? Are they?
No, heritage buildings are generally what they call Grade 1 and Grade 2 listed. Yeah. Now, a Grade 2 listed building that you could find in quite a lot of places in London, right? They will typically have been built before 1840.
Okay.
Yeah? So anything from before 1840, and you're going to do any work, you have to consult
The local council or something like that?
No, you have to get listed building consent.
A building certificate?
Listed building consent.
Consent, okay.
Yeah. So it means things such you have to be mindful of what changes you do. For instance, with a listed building, you wouldn't be able to put UPVC double glazing, right? You'd have to be considerate of how the property looks, and then you'd need to retain those original features.
So technically, you're not permitted to change the aesthetics of the building.
No, you have to get consent for that. Yeah.
From the local council.
No, it's listed building consent. They're English heritage. Yeah, they're a separate body. Even say, for instance, if you wanted to convert properties into different smaller units, you have to consult the council, either by way of building control or go through planning.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let's go on. Now, in adding value to investment, you must be buying and the market value immediately increases on the market. When increases on the market value of the investment asset is always worth more than the purchase price.
Right. Okay.
So, can you explain that?
Right. Okay. If you're a property investor, what you have to be very mindful of is that when you're buying property, you've got to buy it for as cheap as possible. The reason for that is, let me give you an example. You can buy a property and the property may have problems with the roof, problems.
That means that the property is dilapidated then. It was having problems with the
Right,
roof.
let me continue. Right. It can have all sorts of problems. Yeah. What you don't want to do is to pay too much for a property.
In terms of cost, is it?
Yeah, in terms of cost, in terms of even trying to get a mortgage, right? Because what you also have to be mindful of is that the time where you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. And let me explain that. Why you make your money when you buy is because if you buy it at a very good price, there's always going to be what they call things such as that you didn't bargain for to spend. Might be roof. It might be problems with the internals. There's always something that you're gonna have to spend money on, which they call contingencies, right? So where you might have anticipated, right, I can spend 60,000 on this property, and then you find out, well, because I had to do this, I had to do rewiring, I had to do replumbing, I decided to put in a more upmarket type of kitchen, so you've got to spend more, right, in order to either get that property sold, right, to a buyer that's going to appreciate that. So what you have to be mindful of, buy as cheap as possible, right, and then work towards making sure that property, when it's finished, is done in a very good standard.
Now, sometimes you do hear people saying that they're given their property a facelift. A facelift. Is that a good term to use, or it's a misappropriation of a term, and that has to be properly appropriated?
Right. My
Yeah.
take,
Refurbishment, facelift.
Right. My take on a facelift is really just you're doing the basics like painting, small works, and then
something that a handyman can do. Is that?
I don't like that term handyman, but someone that a tradesman could perform without too much difficulty. Yeah, it's nothing structural. It may be just plastering, painting, putting in a kitchen, just making the property up to date as possible, so you can either rent it out or resell it.
Now, I don't know what your take is. Your take on this. A lot of people prefer sometimes to do more of like DIY on their properties than probably giving it out to. They have maybe they read how to tile, to paint, and sometimes dealing with electrical things and stuff like that. Now, do you think it's a good idea? Always, probably trying to sort out a house on your own.
Okay, let's just say this. Yeah, if you're getting into the property business and you're going to be buying properties at a competitive price in order to, say, sell on, right? You need to have the mindset that you're going to have the different trades. Yeah, different trades. So you've got electricians, you've got carpenters, plumbers. You've got all the trades, right? They will all need to be managed.
All right, I'm good. Okay,
yeah. They'll all need to be managed, and they'll all need to be managed by someone that is knowledgeable about how trades can work.
All right, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. When I come back, we'll continue.
Ayampo, and yes, is so many any area. Now, so Pastor shall be PM or man. The place of the other areas. Oh, I want one in Aya dance the Okuma. When your men are not doing so, a yachana, Yana Namabi Drua, nobody Sayawa, and maybe we didn't fish your honey, and your honey trail, or you appear your man, I sabre your Deji Yanqua. Do you know now diabetes, high blood pressure, stroke, high cholesterol, cocoa, and NASA Nidane, and now be when you see arthritis, and NASA sabro, fibroid, skin rashes, Bama or you feel comfort, our paso, and now bow power, in Shalom Herba, our last stop, or no dear, what the Anya Chrome, Hama, and your Nubina, and a sabro de Sanyare, Samamaya Bidia, Nanon Chasso Nina Drew, just said what drew Pastor and Shalom Herba, I share, and sound what the American see, and to what you me, Yaria Ban Waja to Musa Wedia or Yariano. Na Syria signing Neyman, Ayarequata, now a pa no drua, Nanso, a bra or two on Yamia Kwa, or D4 Elisa Anka, no Kohunu no, on Yame fan so, Asana Yadia, and Tiaria Bia Wunamu, Yaria Bia at war, Yaria Bia Hawon, and ne Frepastanti Shalom, I was 074 48 60 62 63 and now 079 30 65 7750 or 079 84 02 4164. The landline UK is 0203 65 20 297. So what Germany so but me friend was 0049 69 30 08 8965 and now 0049 1763 70 43 518. In Shalom Herbal Medicine there. Aba Abaji Yankwa. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Yahweh, shalom. Yahweh, shalom. Yahweh, shalom.
Abusiafo yedi dwumadie foforo ebrem wo GN Radio. Your friend Worship and Inspiration every Sunday evening between the hours of 7 and 9 p.m. Daniel Kweku Datson and Amanda Ofori Edisa dwumadie ebro. Make sure that you tune in. It's going to be an awesome moment of worship, God's word, conversation, gospel celebrity interviews, Bible knowledge, and what have you. And also your comments. I want to hear from you, your testimonies, what inspires you, and a lot more. Make sure say on miss our programming every Sunday evening at GN Radio. Worship and Inspiration. Your weekly inspiration starts from here.
Yes, we're back to the studios, and this we're back to the studios, and this is Global Issues on GN Radio, and the time is exactly 35 minutes after the hour of 8, and we have been discussing properties, property management, property investment and management, and I still have Mr. Peter Campbell, who is the CEO of Abrams Commercial Finance. All right, yeah. So we're still in, but just a quick reading of some few adverts. Gold Coast Express. For all your shipment to Ghana, look no further than Gold Coast Express. We have containers going to Ghana every 2 weeks. Check out door-to-door service. We collect from your home in UK and deliver direct to your doorstep. In Ghana, we ship boxes of goods, barrels, drums, ridges, fridges, cookers, washing machines, computers, hi-fis, TVs, tables, chairs, sofas, and all types of general household items. We also ship cars, vans, motorcycle, farm tractors, car spare parts, and much more. Check out our range of left-hand drive vehicle dashboard at a reasonable price. We have an experienced mechanic who can change your UK right-hand drive vehicle into left-hand drive in Ghana. We offer shared containers, either 20 feet or 40 feet containers. Call Gold Coast Express now on 07780 888-177 07 780 8177 or email us on gold.coast@hotmail.com. gold.coast@hotmail.com. Yes, and that's the end of the adverts. Yes, so Peter, we're still on property discussion. Now, we're talking about. I think before the break, we were talking about investments. Yes, I think we're talking about the investment. I think it's what we would talk. But I mean, going forward, let's continue our discussion. All right, now buying a property, sometimes adding more square meterage to the property or divine space can add significant value to your commercial investment property. How do you do that?
Right. All right. With commercial property, it may be as simple as adding an extra floor to a block.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you may have, say, an office block, yeah, which is now been converted into residential, yeah. So you might decide that, okay, I'm going to add an extra floor, so it's equal to the other blocks, yeah. So that's how you can add value.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. With residential, how you add value to residential is either by extensions or conversion into smaller units, all subject to planning permission.
It is important to purchase a property which will generate interest from quality tenants. Your agent can help you conduct a complete analysis of potential tenants. Now, this is the first time I'm hearing the quality tenants. What does that mean?
Right, quality tenants is, say, for instance, they like to say now we have a generation
or tenants that are always abrupt with their payments of rent, or tenants that do not give you problems.
Right.
Yeah, I'm talking from a layman's point of view.
Yeah,
though.
right. I'm talking from a when they talk about quality tenants, that tenants that are qualified in terms of A, they're working, B, they have to be checked out in terms of they're working, they've got pay slips, they've got bank accounts, credit reference, and all these things are actually cross-referenced and qualifying to make sure that the tenant who is in that property can afford to pay the rent that the landlord is asking for. Yeah, there's even a specific formula to make sure that a tenant can afford his rent. It's gone are the days where a tenant will say, right, I want to rent a 2-bedroom property, and you ask them what is their budget. They say their budget is $1,500, right? Yeah, you need to know how they can afford to pay.
To pay the.
Yeah, because you've got to remember as well that once they've paid their rent, they've got other bills to pay, gas, electric, water, and they have to live. So you have to make sure as an agent or a landlord that you qualify your tenants in the appropriate manner. It's not that you just give it to the first person that comes along. You've got to qualify them to make sure that they are right for the property.
Yes, I mean, like some of these estate agents, companies and things like that, who are very, very spurious and very particular about tenancy agreements. Like ad hoc, let me say, ad hoc rentals, like, people who go to like shops and find them. Sometimes they go, they see the landlord, they talk out, the landlord tells them the terms and conditions. Then if they're able to pay, the upfront amount, they can move in and stuff. Now along the line, things develop, and sometimes there are no tenancy agreements that are signed, and it brings a lot of confusions and stuff like that.
Yeah, it can.
Now,
It can bring.
How important are tenancy agreements?
Oh, tenancy agreements. That's a legal requirement. Yeah, so it's a legal requirement. You take money from a tenant by way of a deposit that belongs to the tenant deposit scheme.
Can you replace a tenancy agreement with an MOU, memorandum of understanding?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It sets out the terms and conditions of how that property is to be rented out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then. Yeah. All right. I mean, I believe that some of these things have to be talked about because, these are the day-to-day, mundane confrontations that we tend to experience, and I think that it's more important for us to be able to confront them from that perspective than just looking at.
All right, from the tenant's point of view, right? The tenant needs to be happy with what he's been offered in terms of its condition, where it is, how long he expects to be there, and how much he's actually supposed to pay, Those are the things that you've got to be happy with as a tenant. Now, the landlord suitably has to be happy with that tenant that's going to be renting that property, that tenant qualifies, in the ways that I explained earlier on, i.e. you make sure that if they say they're working, you prove that they're working. You look at things like bank statements. You should take up references from either previous landlord. You also need to look at credit reports, just to make sure that this person can afford, to live where they say they want to live.
Yeah, I think that.
If they can't, you don't take them.
You just don't take them. But also there are situations where there are people who probably may have those. They may have all these criteria and satisfy all these criteria with who the landlord or the landlord.
Yeah.
But when they move in, they sublet these properties to other people without the landlord knowing. You understand? And it also creates what? It also creates its own kind of conundrum and things like that.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with such issues of that nature?
Well, first of all, subletting without the knowledge of the landlord is illegal. Yeah, plain and simple.
So as a landlord, what action can landlord take?
He can take them to court. The landlord as well should do inventories at various stages of the tenancy. You do an inventory, i.e. you before the tenant moves in, the condition of the property, what's been offered, such as the fixtures and fittings, what condition they're in. Yeah. Then you do the same thing midway through the tenancy. Yeah. And then at the end of the tenancy, you do the same thing again. Or if the tenant wants that that tenancy to be renewed, you do a further inventory. Yeah. So all these things, the system's not foolproof. Yeah, because you can't be watching your tenants. There's got to be a degree of say, quiet enjoyment of the property by the tenants. But it is illegal to sublet without the landlord's permission.
The issue of deposits. Let's quickly look at the issue of deposits. People will go to. I want us to look at what leasehold. This issue leasehold. A bit of expansion or explanation on leasehold. Now deposits are normally given as an upfront payment.
Right, deposit. Right, you normally have deposit and advance rent, and they're two separate things.
So deposits are different from advance rates.
Yeah, deposit is usually, let's say, you would give, say, 6 weeks deposit, right? That goes to a tenancy deposit scheme, yeah? So that's held by a separate body from the landlord, yeah? Now, the advance rent can be the same, yeah? So it could be 6 weeks deposit, 6 weeks rent in advance. And then the tenant is to pay their rent every month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah? So those are the upfront.
So technically, it's subject to the discretion of the landlord.
Yeah, yeah.
And negotiations,
yes,
obviously, negotiations. Because
let me just say this.
And the rent.
Yeah, let me just say this. Yeah. When you say subject to negotiation, right, that can be a very dangerous thing. Because the thing where you've got to look at it in pure academic terms, right? If that tenant can afford to pay the rent that is on offer, then he qualifies for that. And therefore, the landlord is quite happy to take that tenant at what they qualify to be. When you've got this situation where tenants start to want to negotiate and to bargain as to how much rent they pay, that never sits well with any landlord.
That's a cast some sort of a snail or doubt on
what it does, it just casts doubt in the landlord's mind that they can really afford it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at leasehold. Leasehold is a method of owning a property, usually a flat or for a fixed term, but not the land on which it stands. And it's then tenancy given might leave to the property for a set number of years in return of payment of a lump sum. Can you explain a bit of that?
Right. Basically, a leasehold property is somewhere where you pay a mortgage for a certain amount of time. That property would have like a lease of, say, 125 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And after the mortgage has finished, there needs to be a suitable amount of time left in order for that property to be mortgaged out again.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. All right. You've got someone who buys a property and it's got 125 years lease. Yeah. Usually
Lease for the property, not the land, right?
No, lease for the property.
Yeah.
It's not the land. Yeah. Yeah. So
I thought it
every
used to be
year-
99. I was changed. All right.
No, I'm just giving you an example.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, each year that lease goes down affects the value of the property, right? That's why you sometimes find properties where they've got short leases in say like zone 1 or zone 2 areas. You can pick them up quite cheap. The reason why you can pick them up quite cheap is that they have very
Low
little
price.
value in terms of obtaining a mortgage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah? But what you are able to do is to extend the lease. And the maximum that you can extend a lease is by 60 years.
60
years.
60 years.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, you may get a property and the lease falls below 60 years. You might find it quite difficult to get a mortgage. But then if you then extend the lease, then that property will be worth a lot more than what it was you bought it for. So it's a kind of trick with property investors. Some of them will specialize in buying properties which have got short leases, and they'll buy it cash, yeah, because you can't get a mortgage for it.
Oh, okay.
And then what they'll do, they'll have the lease extended, which can be quite expensive, but the cost of extending the lease in terms of the added value to that property, it's worthwhile.
Through the extinction, is that so?
Yes, it's worthwhile, because then you've got a property which is got a long lease. It can obtain a mortgage. Therefore, the resale value of that property is generally quite good.
How's this one so different from the freehold?
Freehold is you own the property and the land that the property sits on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
The,
with leasehold, the difference is you have to pay what they call ground rent. Yeah.
for the
ground
leasehold.
Rent, yeah, for leasehold. With freehold, you don't pay any ground rent. That property is yours. Yeah. As long as it sits on the land and it's freehold, that property belongs to you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, a leasehold usually can be granted at least within 21 years and can last as long as 999 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. You tend to find like properties in like central London, like Belgravia, places like that. They'll have 999 year leases, which is basically freehold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What it means is the freeholder of those estates will always get they'll always get their rent or fees paid into the estate, like
The estate fund or something like that.
no. When I say the estate, the estates usually belong to.
Oh, yeah, the state.
No, it's estate.
Estate.
Yeah, estate. Who owns all the houses and the land in that particular area. Like, for instance, Belgravia, right, is owned by the it's called the Grosvenor Estate, and it's part of the Duke of Westminster's estate. Yeah. So they will have virtually they're virtually freeholds, because they're just making sure that historically they'll get paid as freeholders for the land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Now, at 9, the system will go for like 2 or 3 minutes. Then it will reset itself. Then we'll be on air again. So we just have like 2 minutes before the system goes up, before it resets.
Yeah.
It resets itself again. Now, I would want us to probably start to talk about buy to let, which obviously is a property bought to rent to somebody else. Now, you can use a specific buy to let mortgage to what was it? Okay, is it in something property? Now, this means you can buy the property as an investment without needing to save up the full amount to buy it outright. Right? Okay. Now, we're just going to go for a quick because the system is just it's 8:59 now. We just have about 42 seconds to go. Then we'll be off like 2 or 3 minutes. Then we'll back. So when we come back, we're going to look at the buy to let. Now, for those that are listening, all these things that we've been talking are the ways of which you can get into the property investment, into the industry or into the investment property business, if I'm right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break the system is about to just about 4 seconds. We'll be off. Then when we come back, we'll continue. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we're back. We're back on the. Yeah. So still, the time's about 2 minutes after the hour of 9, and this is still Global Issues, the platform where we talk about politics, economics, and anything that borders on civic development. Now, this evening we have been looking at, getting into the property investment industry or sector, and I've had Mr. Peter Campbell in the studios, who is helping us, giving us insightful revelations and information about how to get into the property business. Mr. Peter Campbell is the CEO of Abraham's Commercial Finance. Now, so Peter, before we went off, we're trying to understand how this buy-to-let, works. Let's talk about that.
Right. Okay. Buy-to-let is the mortgage vehicle that a property investor will use to obtain a mortgage for a rental property. Yeah. So typically it would be.
So basically, somebody gets a mortgage not for him or her to stay in the mortgage, but to rent out. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the criteria is slightly different from a mortgage that you're going to live in a property.
So should you let the banks know that?
Of course. By all means.
Okay.
Yeah. Because well, the buy-to-let mortgage usually comes from a lender or a bank or
a broker.
Yeah. They will know about it. They will take a charge on that property. They need to know what they're lending against or lending to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, for instance, they need to know how much rent can be expected for that property to make.
Can you use a buy-to-let property as a collateral for a loan?
Yeah, you can.
Or dangerous to do that?
No, you can, because what sometimes happens is that people will have a series of buy-to-let mortgages, and they might want
When you say series, what do you mean by that?
a number of properties.
A number of properties.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe like 3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Like they'll have like maybe a small portfolio of properties, right? They see someone else, something else that they want to buy. Yeah. So they may then decide, okay, let's refinance the buy-to-lets, get some money out, and get another mortgage.
When you say refinancing, what does that mean? To refinance a mortgage?
Remortgage.
To remortgage?
Yeah.
What does it mean to remortgage?
Right, to buy the property again, get your money out.
Okay, let's say.
Right, let me give you an example.
Okay.
Right, you got a property.
Because there are people out there who are listening who they've never had a mortgage or planning to have a mortgage. So you have to probably go to the basics.
Right, buy-to-let is very specific. It's aimed at investors that are buying properties to be rented out. Yeah, nothing more, nothing less.
They're not for your own use, but
no.
for your
No. You as the landlord are not permitted to live there. Yeah. Without the lender's permission.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you flout that, principle, what are the punitive charges? Can the mortgage be taken away from you?
It's mortgage fraud.
Oh, okay.
It's basically mortgage fraud. Yeah.
What's the punishment for that?
They take the property away from you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's mortgage fraud, plain and simple.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, since April 2016, landlords have paid an extra 3% points in stamp duty on each either band when they purchase a buy-to-let property. What does that mean?
Makes it more expensive. It makes it less lucrative to own buy-to-let
3% points and stamp duty.
Yeah.
What is stamp duty?
Stamp duty is the amount that you pay over 125,000 when you purchase a property.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a tax.
So technically it's a form of tax. Okay.
It's a tax. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So since April 2016, landlords have paid an extra 3% points in stamp duty.
And also as well, when you sell a buy-to-let property, you could be subject to capital gains tax.
Capital gains tax.
Yes.
What's that? Can you explain?
Right. So capital gains tax is it's tax whereby you've made a gain on an investment, and the government wants their proportion out of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So here the investment is the property that you have.
Yeah. You've made gain from it, and the government wants their tax from it.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what a lot of experts say when it comes to buy-to-let properties, you should never sell them.
You should never sell.
You should never sell buy-to-lets.
But what can you do to them?
Pass them on as a legacy to your family.
Oh. Obviously, when you finish paying the mortgage, is it?
No, you can. There's different ways that you can do these things, but that's really a specialist type subject for another program.
Another program.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
We'll look at that.
Yeah.
What is accidental landlords and professional landlords?
Right. An accidental landlord used to be someone that's got a property, residential property. They might have ended up taking in lodgers. Taking in lodgers, and then they become. It wasn't their intention to be landlords, but because they've taken on lodgers, and they've taken on the responsibility of the upkeep of a property, that's what they call an accidental landlord. Yeah. But a landlord by design would have, say, a buy-to-let property. Yeah. So you've got specific finance geared at having tenants in a property that the landlord does not live on. Where it becomes like an accidental landlord is where you have, say, a residential property that you've got permission to take in lodgers, right? But you end up becoming a landlord because you've got people that have that live in your property, and you're actually living there yourself.
So these lodgers are not squatters, are they?
No, they're not squatters. No.
They officially live there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's say that I just finished university, just found a job. I've worked like probably just about 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that I'm just about 25. Just creating a scenario.
Yeah.
And I want to get onto the property ladder. Is that possible? How do I do that?
Right, you want to get onto the property ladder Right.
Is it that proper time, actually?
Hmm?
Is it that proper time to get onto the property?
Depends what you want to do. Yeah. Yeah. Depends.
So given
yeah.
with such scenario, what best advice would you give to somebody who probably just, young man who's just, finished university, maybe he's found a job, he's worked like 3 years, and he wants to, considering, getting the property.
There are a number of ways that you can get into invested in properties, right? And one of the easiest ways.
The person has no down cash though.
Right. Right. Okay. Let me just emphasize this. They don't have to actually buy property to be a property investor.
You don't have to buy a property to be a property investor.
No.
Okay.
No. You can become, say, a property sourcer. Right. You look for property deals.
Which means?
You look for property deals for clients that have got money. They want to buy your deals.
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't need to have any money yourself, but what you do need to understand is there's lots of opportunities within that field in terms of you need to get maybe specific training, mentoring, networking, events to understand the business of property, because it's not just about getting a deposit, buying a property. You've got to make sure that you're working. Can you get a mortgage? Yeah. What's your credit like? Most properties are bought with mortgages, other people's money, things like that. So you've got to make sure that whatever you want to do in the property business, if you want to be buying, if you want to be sourcing, there's different ways that you can enter the property investment business.
How clean should your credit score be in order to get a property? Is it possible to get a property if your credit score is still very bad?
I would say it becomes increasingly difficult. Yeah, if you've got bad credit. Bad credit can be things such as never borrowed money before. Yeah, nobody knows about you, so your credit's going to be quite low. Yeah.
So it's good to borrow money in order
yes,
to in order to get into the system.
Yeah. Borrow money, pay it back. Have bills. Yeah, and keep and pay them on time. Be reliable. Show stability. When you've got stability. It's an old SOAR process they used to have. If you've got stability.
You mean financial stability?
Yeah, financial stability. Then you have.
It has to
hold
go.
On, let me
okay, all right.
Let me finish. Yeah, if you have financial stability, then you have the ability, and once you have the ability, then you have the willingness to pay. Yeah, if you don't have those three, it becomes very difficult. Yeah, so it's things such as, lenders want to see some sort of
trustworthiness.
Yeah, they want to see some sort of track record. They want to see that, right? You've got loans. You're working. They even look at your bank statements to see what sort of transactions are going on, how much you have left before you get paid. You know, all these things are all scrutinized. But you know, having good credit is very important.
I think let's shift a bit. I think we've just been looking at one aspect of individuals. Now let's try to look at the situation where a man and a wife wants to get a property. You know, to get the property. Let's pick it up. Let's say a couple wants to get a property.
Yeah.
What are the first steps to take in order to get it? You know, so this is joint buying, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Joint purchase of property.
Look, most properties in this country are bought by joint people, especially in London, because properties are so expensive. Yeah. So that's a normal transaction. Two people buying a property. They put their money together. The income multiples as far as them borrowing to get a mortgage are worked out, and it becomes affordable.
All right.
Yeah.
Now let's say that. Let's look at the scenario where, let's say, these two people probably have maybe divorced, and therefore they want to get rid of the property or sell the property. To probably sell the property, you know, how does that work out?
Right. If it's say like a divorce case, right, then what you have to bear in mind is that there would be an agreement, usually laid down by the court, how the property is to be disposed of and who is going to get what.
Now, obviously, valuers have to come in before, I suppose.
Yeah, values have to come in, but it's a matter of, right, that property will have to be sold, and when it's sold, it has to be divided up how the courts have stated that it needs to be divided up between the two parties.
So let's look at the situation where probably the two bought property together. I'm just looking at day to day, you know, situations. They bought the property together.
Yeah.
And along the line, let's say the man along the line stopped paying his part of the premium or whatever on the mortgage.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when that happens, when let's say when the divorce happens, how is that?
Right, that is a matter for the solicitors, to get involved in.
So that's the work for the solicitor.
That's the work for the solicitors, and so estate agents, any persons that are involved in selling the property, they have to take their lead from the solicitors acting for the divorcing couple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, it's not a matter of sometimes what people try and do. They try and sneak selling the property without the other party knowing and things like that, because there can be legal issues, there can be tax issues, there's sometimes children involved, so there's welfare issues. So all these things, you have to make sure you take your lead from the other professions that are involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So definitely there are technicalities involved
there are technicalities that are involved, and as property people, you are subject to making sure that those conditions are adhered to. Yeah.
Now, with this new system of the councils and getting into this rejuvenation. It's a rejuvenation they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they're building houses. Though they call it affordable housing, some of these houses are very quite expensive.
Yeah,
What is your take on that?
Yeah, they're expensive by way of geography. They're expensive because they're in London. London is a very expensive city. London is a place whereby developers want to make good profits. London is a place where it attracts a lot of people, attracts a lot of foreign money. That is London.
Obviously, it's a global commercial city, is it?
Yeah, it is. But when they say affordable housing, you then have things such as developments that take place, and a portion of that development will be given over to what they call affordable rented accommodation.
Affordable rented accommodation.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because what they don't want in the property business is to create areas where there's specifically no rental properties, no estates and things like that. They try and mix it up as best as possible. Yeah. And with some investors, they will specialise in dealing with affordable housing. Yeah, for low to middle income families, so they're able to rent somewhere in a nice environment. Yeah.
All right. Now let's look at. We've just been talking about, individuals getting into business and stuff. Let's look a bit about, regarding joint ventures of, let's say, 2 or 3 people wanting to go into, property business.
Yeah.
What are the key things that you have to consider before probably you have some sort of a business agreement with somebody to go into business?
All right. Yeah. Very interesting, very current topic. Right. Basically, it's the typical joint venture is like you'll have a property in London that has fallen into a state of either disrepair or just needs fixing up. Yeah. So you'll have an investor that will say, right, we're going to pay for all the refurbishments. Yeah. You'll have an owner that wants to sell the property, but that owner realizes, well, for me to sell this property, for this property to get its proper market value, I'm going to need to fix the property up. Right. So what happens is that owner hasn't got the money to fix the property. Mm-hmm. So what the owner does, he will find a joint venture partner, right? And that joint venture partner is willing to, once a survey has been done and know what the list of works is going to be, will then agree, okay, I'm going to pay for all the refurbishments. It's going to take a certain amount of time, and once that property has been fixed up, the property will have an increase in value. Yeah? That increase in value could be, say, for example, 25%. Yeah? So it could be things like refurbishing the property, increasing the square footage of it, and just making sure that that property that sits in an area where you've got properties that may be worth 850,000, for example, and this house currently, because it's in a state of disrepair, may be valued at, say, 600. If you spend 150 on the property, and you fix it to a good standard, increase the square footage, you might even find that property will exceed the 850 that those properties in that particular location.
So, I mean, after the refurbishment, you're saying?
Yeah.
So obviously, when obviously if you refurbish a property, that means the market value will increase.
Yeah, but depending on how it's done.
Which means?
Right. If it's done to a good standard, yes. If it's done to, say, an average standard, no.
So, as a professional, what would you call a good standard and average, standard? I'm just a lay person. I mean, coming from, a technical
all right.
point of view.
You can, all right. Right. Let me give you an example. Things like kitchens and bathrooms. Those are things that can enhance a property. Yeah. If you have like
how does it enhance a property?
Right.
Property
Okay.
has, yeah?
Right. Most people, if they're buying a house, you can spend anything from, say, £5,000 on a basic kitchen up to £50,000 on a kitchen. Yeah, that could depend on whether you've got Arga cookers, state-of-the-art electrical ovens, all manner of kitchen facilities. Right now, if you're living in, say, a very expensive area, you're putting in a kitchen, you need to make sure you put in a kitchen which is complementary to the location that you find yourself in.
Oh, let me get something straight. You live in an expensive area. Is in terms of, let's say, the financial status of people who live there. Let's say it's a place like Chelsea.
Right. If you right. If you right.
I mean,
right.
let's compare
Chelsea
and the place like Perkins.
Let me just give you a basic example. Right. You live in Chelsea.
I want it to be so practical as possible.
Right. You live in Chelsea. You bought a property and you're refurbishing it. Yeah.
Chelsea's WS1.
SW6.
SW6. Okay.
Yeah, and SW3.
That's zone 6, is it? Or
no, that's zone 1 and 2.
Zone 1 and 2.
Yeah. Now you wouldn't put in a kitchen in say one of that area, which has come out of a chain of DIY places, and I don't want to mention any names because we could get into trouble.
All right.
So
you finish up. We'll go for a commercial break. Okay.
Yeah.
You just finish up. We'll go for it.
Yeah. So what you've got to be careful of, right? You've got to know your area and know what you need to put in there.
All right. We'll continue when we're just going to have a quick commercial.
Yeah.
You know. So when we come up, we'll continue.
Yeah.
let me share with you something that's gonna make you go wow. IEatGhana.com, the UK's largest certified Afro shop. Everything is online and it's easy. Just pick up any device of your choice and log on to IEatGhana.com and fill that basket with everything you need from the motherland. Fresh and healthy vegetables and groceries, cereals, drinks, and a lot more. You can also buy your clothing and accessories. Proceed to checkout and pay with your Visa or MasterCard, Google Wallet, Discover, PayPal, and all major online payment modes. And guess what? They are gonna ship it to you wherever you are in the world, because they are on 24/7. Remember, your payment is safe and secure. IEatGhana.com. We take you back home.
Yo, Ghana for you what English approach my muha. Ya sweady. Yenya emranimfo a wen akwatare wo emranimu a poto kasemu ye kase a lawyer for entimi nuanom mumyemfo ye immigration ensem nyina enko dan wo mo Fortwell solicitors emranimu akukudrofo se watna ha che ombeboa wo ma wonsa kan wo krata na se wedi edro nso a eyo mo kokokra eba ne nipa sitenemu eni adwuma mu nsem bia omudim akotene pa omo wo mre di mani pa bia na de enika wo mu mponi se no consultation fee.
Fortwell solicitors always puts our clients' needs first. We specialize in all UK visa applications, detention and deportation cases, student and work points-based work permit applications from both UK and abroad. Fortwell solicitors also deals with long residence and human rights applications outside the immigration rules. Don't wait till last minute. Fortwell solicitors is located at
Unit 1, ground floor, Katrina House, 58 Clarendon Road, London, N80DJ. Nearest tube station, Tempark Lane and Wood Green. Overground, Hornsey Station. Buses, 41 to Archway and 144 to Maswa Hill. For more info, call 0203 3257 030. Call our 24-hour line on 0754 8701 011. Website www.fortwellsolicitors.com.
opening hours Monday to Friday 9:30 to 5:30 p.m.
Thursday Beyonce Young Milton Keynes.
Fortwell Solicitors is regulated by SRA.
Fortwell Solicitors.
Yes, we're back to the studios, and this is Global Issues, the platform where we talk about politics, economics, and anything that borders on the on civil development. And this evening, we've been discussing property investment, and the intricacies, the myth, and the all that there is to know about the property investment sector. I've had Mr. Peter Campbell, who is the CEO of Abraham's Commercial Finance, leading us and giving us, deep insight into the property market. Now, just a quick advert. Black messaging, the need for black donors, the NHS needs 16,000 more black donors of black heritage to join the growing numbers of black donors in England. People of black heritage are 10 times more likely to have rare blood subtypes such as RO, which can be used to treat sickle cell patients. Hospital demand for the rare blood subtype RO has increased by 50%. You can save up to 3 lives in 1 hour when you donate blood. Sickle cell. Sickle cell is the fastest growing blood disorder with 3 babies born each year. Now, it is a genetic blood disorder which mainly affects people of black heritage. The red blood cells of sickle cell patients form into a sickle or crescent moon shape. Now, these abnormal cells can block blood vessels, causing agonizing pain and creating a risk of organ damage, stroke, and death. There are 15,000 sickle cell patients in the UK, many of whom rely on regular blood transfusions. Now, blood transfusions help to prevent or relieve the painful symptoms and complications. Now, sickle cell disorder is inherited from both parents. Sickle cell trait is inherited from one parent. You can give blood if you have sickle cell trait. You just have to let a staff member know when you arrive at a blood session. Who can give blood? Most people can give blood if they are fit and healthy, aged between 17 and 66. You can also give blood if you have sickle cell trait. Giving blood is safe and easy. You can save up to 3 lives in 1 hour when you donate blood. That is amazing. Now, yeah. So, this is an admonition of blood donation for those to help sickle cells patients. So those listening, and if you feel that you're in the position, because you just have to be fit and healthy, you have to be aged between 17 and 66, and you can even give blood if you have sickle cell trait. Now, so that is the end of the reading of the adverts. Now, back to our discussion, Mr. Peter Campbell. Yes, we're talking about
Talk about refurbishment.
Refurbishment, yes. We're talking about refurbishment.
Yeah.
Let's continue with that discussion.
So if you live in an expensive location,
like Chelsea,
like Chelsea, now, and you're refurbishing the property, you would make sure that you've got to find the appropriate tradesmen that understand what is required in terms of the finished product, i.e., if you're putting in a kitchen, that kitchen has to be of
high quality,
compared to what is current in that area. Yeah. Now, for instance, you wouldn't put in a cheap kitchen in a very expensive area. Yeah, because it's not going to be attractive to anybody that wants to buy that property. Yeah. Same thing with bathrooms. Same thing with finishes. You've got to make sure that the quality is there, because that's what will make your property sell or rent out. It's all about the quality.
Yeah. Now, that brings me to this question. I mean, before we go on, just something struck me. I mean, if you have a property to sell and, you put it on the market, what are some of the key things you have to do if, let's say, you have a prospective buyer who's coming for viewing? What are some of the things that you can do that can impress the buyer?
First thing you've got to understand about your property is that any prospective buyer, the first thing they're going to see is the property from the outside. Yeah, it's got to look sufficiently attractive in order to attract buyers. Yeah, so if that buyer is looking for an apartment building, the apartment building must look presentable, clean, must be in a location that people feel attracted to. Yeah. So, they're going to see the property from the outside first.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the first thing. When they go inside, then that's another story. the property, if it's for someone that's looking to live there, it's got to be clean, tidy, organised. Something that they can think, yes, they can make a decision
Quickly.
on this. Yeah, they can make this decision on it quickly. Different from someone that's an investor. Yeah, an investor is looking at they're looking at the sums. Yeah, they're looking at, okay, this property, how long's the lease? What am I going to need to do to it? They're looking at the numbers. When you're looking at buying somewhere to live, yes, you're looking at the numbers, but the decisions tend to be more with emotions. When you're looking at investment, it's a different set of things that's going on. You're looking at calculations. What can I get this for? What can I do to it? How can I add value to it? You know, it's all head decisions.
Head decisions.
Yeah.
Right. Now, let's move to mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that mortgage is it's one of the very key important topics when it comes to properties.
Yeah.
Now, a mortgage is a loan that you use to buy property. Usually, you put a cash deposit at least 5% of the property price, and for using the mortgage from the bank or building society.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now that is simple terms of what.
Yeah.
What is a mortgage?
A mortgage is basically a debt. Yeah, that's what a mortgage is. It's a debt whereby the lender lends.
Which is the bank or the broker?
No, it's the bank.
The bank. Okay.
Yeah, the bank or lender or individuals, right? They lend individuals or companies money, which is a debt, it's a mortgage. Yeah. How they secure that debt is they take what they call a first charge on that property. So what that means is they will secure that debt on the property, right? So you that lives in the property has borrowed money on the property. If you miss payments after a certain amount of time, they can take that property from you.
What do you mean borrowed money on that property?
Exactly what I've said. They've like bank will
Let's say I come to you. I want to get a mortgage. Walk me through what.
Right. Okay. I'm a broker. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a broker. I don't lend money. What I do, I arrange you as a borrower to get money to borrow from a lender. Yeah. So you have to make sure, and I'll assist you with this, that you qualify to be able to get money lent to you
To buy the house.
by the property.
All right.
Yeah. So what the bank will want to see, or the lender will want to see, is a form of financial stability. I.e., you've got income coming in.
A stable job.
Yeah, stable job or stable income. Yeah, you could be running your own business. That can be verified by producing audited accounts. Yeah, 3 years audited accounts, for example. If you're working for an employer, you get pay slips, and then that can be cross-referenced with tax payments, national insurance, what they call from the
HMRC.
SAs 302s.
Okay.
Yeah? So all these things have to be all cross-referenced.
Now,
Yeah.
what about those who work with? I'm just trying to think loud.
Yeah.
There are people out there who do just agency jobs. Now, if somebody is within that category, what is the percentage of probability that person will be able to secure
Right.
a mortgage?
If they're doing agency jobs, yeah, they would be classed as like self-employed. So they would have sets of accounts drawn up. They can get mortgages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they can get more mortgages.
Mm.
Yeah.
A fixed mortgage. A fixed mortgage
Mm-hmm.
is a mortgage where your interest rate is guaranteed to stay the same for a set period.
Yeah.
It says you can have a peace of mind because unlike other rate mortgages such as discount or tracker, you will know exactly how much you need to repay each month during the month. Or
Yeah.
How true is this? And just a bit explanation on those fixed mortgage.
There's so many different mortgage products out there. I mean, you've got
You can discuss a bit. I mean, about two or three.
right. Fixed is as it
There's
says.
a tracker also as well.
Yeah. You're right. The tracker.
Let's start with the fixed
Right.
mortgage.
The fixed one is you will have a certain interest rate fixed for a period of time. Yeah, it could be 2, 3, 5 year, 10 year, whatever fixed.
Is it the same as the APR?
No.
All right.
No,
Okay.
Right. Fixed means that you know each month what percentage interest you're paying. Yeah, and how much you're paying each month. Yeah, and then when that fixed period finishes, what will then happen is that the mortgage will revert to a variable mortgage, i.e., if the mortgage rate is say 3%, then it will revert to 3%, and as it climbs or remains the same or whatever it does, that's the variable rate that will.
So all these type of mortgage, are they still within the same time span of 25 years?
No, you can have mortgages for 10 years, any amount of time. Yeah, any amount of time. You've even got mortgages which last beyond 25 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's say I have a mortgage and probably I want to finish paying up the mortgage quite early. All right. So probably I choose to maybe want to pay more than the stipulated premium or something. Is it a good idea?
There's schools of thought that will say yes, it's a good idea. Why it can be a good idea is that if you accelerate your payments, then it means that you pay off the mortgage quicker. Yeah, so you become mortgage free. The other thing is you can lead yourself to have penalties against you. Yeah, and those penalties can be
Why?
right. Mortgage lenders are in the business of making money from lending
Money. To buy property.
yeah, over a long term. Yeah. Now, all of a sudden you want to pay off your mortgage early, that's not good for the lender. So they will penalise you.
Because the longer the period, the higher the interest.
The more money they make.
More money through the interest.
Yeah. The more money they'll make. I mean, it was said years ago that you could borrow a certain amount of money from a lender, and by 25 years' time, the interest that you've paid throughout the term, you might have paid 3 or 4 times that of what you borrowed.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the truth of the matter. Yeah. So it's about the lenders making money.
More money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move to the tracker. You were talking about the tracker.
Yeah. Right. The tracker basically it just keeps in mind, right, what the variable rate is. So if it's 3%, it might be 0.5% of below what the variable rate is. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what they mean. It follows the track of the variable rate. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you get discounted rates. Discounted rates tend to be for a short period of time, like a low interest rate, whilst you get used to paying a mortgage, and then it will revert to the variable rate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What some mortgagees do is they keep track on what's going on, especially when it comes to things like your buy-to-lets. Buy-to-lets usually are interest-only mortgages, rather than what they call repayment. Yeah, let me just explain the difference. Interest-only, you borrowed £50,000. You're paying interest only, so all you're paying is the interest on the £50,000. Right, at the end of the period of the mortgage, you've still got that £50,000 is still owed.
Okay.
Right, all you've done, you've paid interest on that money, but you haven't paid any of the loan.
The principal.
The principal. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Repayment, it's a mixture of both. With repayment, you pay a higher proportion of interest in the beginning, and then slowly it will reverse, and you're paying off towards the end of the loan more capital than interest.
Okay.
But at the end of the mortgage, you've paid both capital and interest. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Let's say.
So for example, right?
We have some few minutes. Just about two minutes.
Yeah.
The regular 9-to-5 worker.
They don't exist anymore. They don't exist anymore.
Oh, okay. Let's say the normal guy, trying to make ends meet. Okay, comes to you for advice of a mortgage. What type of a mortgage would you want to?
It entirely depends on his circumstances.
Just say somebody on a £30,000, £30,000 yearly salary.
It depends on their circumstances. If they're earning to like 30 to 35,000, you have to be mindful of the amount they're borrowing and how much they can borrow, right? You also have to be mindful of how much deposit they're putting down, because the easiest thing for a lot of brokers to do is someone that's on 30,000 these days is quite a moderate type salary, yeah? So where you're talking about getting the mortgages of say 120, 150,000, right, with say certain types of lenders, right, as against a prime lender, you have to be very careful.
Yeah.
You've got to remember it's all about your client, not about you, the broker.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, for the sake of time, I think we have to draw the curtain on this evening session of, the evening session of global issues. We've been looking at property investment, and I've had Mr. Peter Campbell, CEO of Abraham's Commercial Finance, holding hands, to help us cross the zebra crossing of some of the intricacies, the myths, and the revelations, trying to boost our knowledge about, property investment. And this has been Solomon Lartey. I still say, Solomon Lartey, make a date with me every Tuesday between 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. I talk politics, economics, and anything that borders on civic development. Until next week, God bless and bye.
Well, that's one way to lose these walking blues. Diamonds on the soles of your shoes. She was physically forgotten, but then she slipped into my pocket with my car keys. She said, "You've taken me for granted because I pleased you, wearing these diamonds." And I could say, ooh, as if everybody knows what I'm talking about. As if everybody here would know exactly what I was talking about. I'm talking about diamonds on the soles of a shoe. She makes the sign of a teaspoon, he makes the sign of a wave. The poor boy changes clothes and he puts on aftershave to compensate for his ordinary shoes. And she said, "Honey, take me dancing," but they ended up by sleeping in a doorway by the bodegas and the lights on over Broadway, wearing diamonds on the soles of their shoes. And I could say, ooh, and everybody here would know what I was talking about. I mean, everybody here would know exactly what I was talking about. I'm talking about diamonds. People say I'm crazy, I got diamonds on the soles of my shoes, yeah. Well, that's one way to lose these walking blues. Diamonds on the soles of my shoes. Ta-na-na-na, ta-na-na-na,
300 million years ago, there was no Africa, Asia, Americas, or Europe. Just one big supercontinent, Pangea. And today, there is still a force connecting those divided by distance, reversing millions of years of rifting. Making far feel close, bringing there to here. Turkish Airlines.
is my destiny to destroy you.
Work smarter, not harder.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
There's another one for the motherland. Yes, 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 there's another one for the motherland. When the shade on the beat, yeah.
I like it, Paris beats.
For your info, check the intro, check the logo, I'm for the zongo. Make a link up with the gringo. Another hit song, it's a bingo. Enemies, follow me everywhere. Damn you go, them they look, them they joke, them they want, make me a go ha. I be good girl, come bad, hey, I'm on a my messiah. Into shano a mama can say night. Miss Rona Bio. Shano a mama can say night. Shano a mama can say night. Miss Rona Bio. Shano a mama can say night. Many men they wish that upon me. All I see is jealousy. A friend indeed is friend in me. The more you they hate, Baba God bless me. I bash him more. I bash him more. I fade I bash him more. I bash him more. I be good girl come bad. Hey, I'm on a my messiah. Into shano a mama can say. Shano a mama can say. Shano a mama can say. Shano a mama can say.
It's another one. Make everybody gather around. Dear Mo and I am a time. Moya magana fue humusubai. Mumfan saw award. Ne ha dollar. Media Mecca, Minsrobia, Menya is so. For them info, we got the reach you. No be this award go make a reach you. Jamo Bemi, I'm a bayicho. Nobody go fi stop this heat though. Cause Jaja day. Every day I dey pray. For my enemies yeah, to live and see my success. Ankenya, Muni Abrabobia. Obia Nyobia, sit me Bessia, I did that quack. Ya failure, yes, Romu, Amusia must have been, Shazania, ya trendy, ya failure, yes, Romu, Amusia must have been, Shazania, ya trendy,
Mixed by Danny B. I be good girl, come bad, hey, I'm on a my messiah. Into shano a mama can say. Shano a mama can say. Shano a mama can say. Shano a mama can say.
Assassini, airboarding in my eye. Mojana, num shegu, nade to ho my eye. Edomene was so, say a pay, piatwaso, Nindian twaso, go to crania, person coming out. Eddie ain't bremo, the mamaya, sassy, hold or what to say. Oh, my no, oh, my no. Yes, and I say, I'm a full private jet. Oh, my no. Yes, and I say,
yeah, we go. Okay, this
is my motherland. Lady Ghana tiny. Anything I go talk, we get a tiny. Boy, what put one near hey, Bonnie down a fay hey. Many me feel he can tea and many won't pay. Malabahi can you find the Bajamin Cabo? What you know, Ninja Lava, where me capable. I promise on my own, I'm over Kaya near Shona. Ling off a Mina Sana, Libukuna no Shona.
Yawaena, Zumunchi Afiko May, Kowan Kabila Capito, Zaida Kai, Banda Bumbanchi, Mudena Zwalumchi, Ubangijing Allah Wayma, Zumunchi Afiko May, Anna Muhammad Wayma, Zumunchi Afiko May.
See, this is not a peace song, it's a love song. Peace and Ghana getting married, keep the love strong. See, a peace we cannot risk. War at home is like cardiac arrest, cause home is where the heart is. Let the trumpets sound victory. The battle that we won is a battle for a peace. We promise on an honor that we'll never fight again, cause Ghana is a happy place of joy we should defend.
Get up, what's up, motherland? I don't feel like Obidi and Afia. I'm in love with you now. Tamajiba Majihada, Mabiata, Wasanya, will a doji love for from Gakachale. How? From the big six, you still to fix things. Mawa Hamakafu was Chicago will reach us.
If you don't want make it be, somebody for fight, we don't need one of peace. Yeah, and come boom. Is it with if we to protect the nation, Mother God and anyone I save it.
About the peace, hey, about our summer day, Kurjan, about the PP, hey, I want to know. Now, summer day, walk, hey, from a wabo, what has some chon once, say, many bay you some killing you if you are, which as if you won't pay for, I'm also who are when you leave your cocoto. A lady be okay, palace, a lady more okay, palace, a lepus you call okay, palace. I'm out with you all in him. It's all about a peace. Hey, Baloba.
In a doom, stores ya to doom, police say you foom, and we say soon, to pay papa, depending in a high, Mwashakuma Muma, Memina Danima, Papa, would don't know what it is, room, what's the Mudania to Photo Gem, who read on BBC.
Ghana, it's no more.
Picture free me, Dayum Namitium, no war.
Instead of the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons and daughters of God. Hey, we pray for love, we pray for peace, we pray for unity always. To make our nation better. Oh, to make our nation better. Bring peace to our land. Nation better. Peace to our land. Nation better.
You know we're gonna do it again, right?
Work and happiness.
I will give my best. You will give your best. We will give our best to beautiful Ghana. Work and happiness. Yes, I must confess.
need to bring success for beautiful Ghana. United farmers and workers of Africa, God will bless you wherever you are. Work and happiness, yes, I must confess, all must give their best for beautiful Ghana. United farmers and workers of Africa, God will bless you wherever you are. Work and happiness, yes, I must confess, all must give their best for beautiful Ghana. I will give my best. You give your best. Give my best to beautiful Ghana. To beautiful Ghana. To beautiful Ghana.
And to me, mama, say, mama,